Haven't you heard that you never give a minister a mic, and I've got 3?
Watch out.
You go, girl.
Wow. Leo, did you write that? Is that the one you wrote? No. Beautiful.
Arias, India Arias.
Good reminder.
India Arias. Beautiful. Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. So we are talking about light. That's what we're talking about. We started talking about that at the beginning of this month. The holiday light is our theme, L-I-G-H-T. Who remembers what the acronym for that?
Living in God's holy truth.
Close. Living in God's highest truth. Living in God's highest truth. Light. Living in God's highest truth. And today we're going to explore a little more of that, and we're going to explore it by looking at sharing our light. Sharing our light, sharing God's highest truth. How many of you know that when you're in the presence of someone that is living in God's highest truth? Yeah, it's obvious, isn't it? And doesn't it feel wonderful? Doesn't it feel wonderful? And so that's what we all strive to do, to live in God's highest truth. So I want to ask you to contemplate something for a minute. You are an expression of God. You are an expression of God. God, the great giver of life, the force of creativity and energy that is back of all things. We call it the principle, the living principle. You are an expression of that. That is who you are. That is who you come to be. And it is your highest truth to be the giver of life. Not out of obligation, but because it is your divine nature. It is your divine nature. It is our divine nature to be that. And so, love is one of those words that I think gets overused, doesn't it? We talk about love. But what is it that we're really talking about? Because love is that great harmonizer. It's the harmonizer of the universe. It's the connecting link of the universe. It's more than emotional love. It is that which is under everything. I had an interesting experience yesterday. I was on Facebook and I noticed that someone was selling a gun on Facebook on a site. And so there was a man that spoke up and said, I don't think that this is an appropriate place to sell a gun. And there were a number of posts that were after that, berating him and bullying him, really. And so I liked his post, and I added mine. And I told him that I stood with him, that I didn't feel that this was an appropriate place as well. And the man who had the gun for sale posted immediately and said, I'm just trying to sell my gun here. This is legal. They have to go through a process afterwards. It's all legal. And I said to him, it may be legal, but is it right? Is this the place? You may be going through the necessary process, but what if somebody sees your post and decides, hey, what a great idea, and they don't go through the necessary process and it gets into the hands of someone? And he and I had a really wonderful exchange. He was not bullying at all or insulting, and the other guy, who on his Facebook page had, I'm not going to go into that. Anyway, he wasn't. He didn't live inside God's highest truth. And so he and I, the man that was selling the gun, had a wonderful exchange with this, and I thanked him. At the end of it, I thanked him for not being insulting. I thanked him for listening to my point of view, and telling him that it was different. We were definitely different in how we looked at things, but I thanked him, and then he thanked me, responded back to me. And then after that, there was a pause, and then I said, "You probably haven't ever lost someone at the end of a gun." And it makes me cry. And he said, "Unfortunately, I have someone that committed suicide in the family." He took the post down. He took the post down. But see, I wasn't willing to see him as a bad person. I could understand, and I can understand when we make those choices. But do we have the room? Do we have the courage? Do we have the strength? Do we have the love to talk about it? And can we stay present in what's true, in loving, and not go to insulting, not go to bullying, not go, when there are differences, and there are differences. There are differences. I know people that didn't vote my way. There's differences, and I don't know, I don't understand, but there's differences, and that doesn't mean that I have to berate them. But how can we love in the face of differences? That's what really we're at right now, I think, in the world, and at the most precious time of the year. The Prince of Peace came, and the only way that we truly can see peace is to see it within ourselves and how we treat each other. That really is the only way. Here's a story about the famous preacher John Wesley. It is told that he was once preaching a mighty sermon in which he said, "You should get all you can." And many heads nodded in silent assent. Wesley continued, "You should keep all you can." And the listeners buzzed with agreement. Several amens and alleluias rang out from the congregation. And after pausing for the room to settle, Wesley added, "And you should give all you can." And there was dead silence. Until a sound from the back of the room came. "Too bad he ruined a perfectly good sermon." Well, today I'm going to give you a perfectly good sermon about giving all you can, because that's what this time of the year really is all about. And giving and receiving are really the same thing. They come from the same place. New Thought tells us this: when our thoughts rest entirely upon ourselves, we become abnormal and unhappy. But when we give ourselves with enthusiasm to any legitimate purpose, losing ourselves in the thing which we are doing, we become normal and happy. Let those who are sad, depressed, or unhappy find some altruistic purpose into which they may pour their whole being, and they will find a new inflow of life of which they have never dreamed. I love that. Isn't that true? And isn't it about going beyond oneself? Going beyond oneself. Arthur Ashe said, "From what we get, we make a living. From what we give, however, makes a life." Yeah. Makes a life. And why? Because it is our divine nature to give. It is the natural order of us. That's who we really are. We let our light shine, and we do it by giving to others. I want to share a passage from the Bible that is about a lame beggar, it says, who asks alms of Peter and John as they were going into the gate of the temple. Peter said, "Silver and gold have I none, but such as I have give I unto thee. Arise and walk." And the man picked up his bed and walked. Such as I have give I unto thee. These are the key words in that. These are the key words in that, because this is not talking about material things, is it? No, this is talking about inner gifts. Such as I have, I will give freely. Such as I have, I will give freely. So what I did is I came up with a list of gifts that we all can give that won't cost a penny to give. The first one is the gift of listening. The gift. How many of you have ever been listened to, really listened to, where somebody really sits and their whole presence is present with you and you feel heard? Doesn't that feel good? Yeah. That is at the core of the chaplain program that we have in Unity. You know, listening is a skill. And listening, this type of listening, this deep listening, is done without interruption. You know, it's done without knowing what your answer is going to be before they finish. It's really being present. And it's about the presence, really, to the person that's speaking. The second one is the gift of laughter. How many of you have ever known somebody that just makes you laugh all the time? I mean, they're just funny and they're fun. I know there are people that actually teach classes, Laughter 101. I actually sat down next to a man in New Mexico in the airport. There was a sombrero sitting on a seat, and I thought, I wonder who's going to sit there. So I sat down and I waited. And it just happened that he was a professor of Laughter 101 at college. So he said to me, so we're going to try an experiment. Let's do something really fun. He said, let's just start laughing. We're not going to laugh about anything. We're just going to start laughing. Let's see what happens. So we did. We started laughing, and pretty soon people all around us were laughing. This whole area was laughing. Nobody had a clue what we were laughing at. But we were laughing. Because that is such a gift. It raises our vibration, doesn't it? It raises our vibration. The gift of appreciation. Doesn't it feel good to be appreciated? And doesn't it feel good to appreciate someone? You know, when somebody has really gone out of their way to do something for you, or done something for anyone, or done something at all, and you get to appreciate that, what an honor and a blessing to be able to do that. So it's simple. The gift of a compliment. You know? And these are things, these are gifts that we can make a list of and we can do every single day. Every single day. To compliment someone. The gift of kindness. The gift of kindness. To be kind. When someone is facing something, to go out of your way to be kind to that person. I was walking in the parking lot at Walmart one day, and there was a woman that had a walker, and she was trying to push her groceries at the same time, and I just don't know how she was doing it. So I stopped and helped her. You know, and what does that take? It doesn't, but you know, for her, it meant something so huge. It made her life so much easier in that moment. So the gift of kindness. The gift of solitude. How many of you sometimes just want to be left alone? Yeah. We want to be in the solitude. You know, we want to be in God's face. What?
Not for too long.
Not for too long. The gift of a cheerful disposition. Yeah. It's no fun to be around a grouch all the time, is it? No. So the easiest way to feel good is to extend a kind word to someone. It's not that hard to say, have a nice day. Have a nice day, with a smile. The gift of affection. Here's a poem. No moving parts, no batteries, no monthly payments, and no fees. inflation-proof, non-taxable. In fact, it's quite relaxable. It can't be stolen. It won't pollute. One size fits all. Do not dilute. It uses little energy but yields results enormously. Relieves your tensions and your stress. Invigorates your happiness. Combats depression, makes you beam, and elevates your self-esteem. Your circulation, it corrects without unpleasant side effects. It is, I think, the perfect drug. May I prescribe, my friend, the hug? We see that here. When, handshakes and hugs never want to end, do they? The gift of your presence. The gift of your presence. How many of you know someone that's lonely? I'm sure we all know someone that's alone, maybe lives alone. They don't have people visit them often. We all know people like that. So the gift of your presence, just, you may not think that is worth much, but it is. It is. To have someone be in your presence. There's a Sufi teaching that says, past the seeker as he prayed came the crippled and the beggar and the beaten. And seeing them, he cried, great God, how is it that a loving creator can see such things and yet do nothing about them? And God said, I did do something. I made you. I made you. So we are an expression and an extension of God's love in action. We are here to help others who are here to help others who are here to help others. We are all important. We are all important. So we are an infinite circle of giving and receiving, all because the universe operates through dynamic exchange of giving and receiving, which are different aspects of the flow of energy in the universe. And in our willingness to give that which we seek, we keep the abundance of the universe circulating in our lives. There's the prosperity secret. We've been having the prosperity class now once a month. We're meeting and talking about that, and that's it. The prosperity secret is realizing that everything is about giving and receiving. It's all about giving and receiving, and it's exactly the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. New Thought tells us when the law of circulation is retarded, stagnation results. It is only as we allow the divine current to flow through us and out that we really express life. The law of giving and receiving is definite. Emerson tells us to beware of holding too much good in our hands. When we hold on to too much, we'll explode, right? Yeah. So we have to release it. We have to let it go out from us and share the love, share the goodness. In Buddhism, it is said that there are 3 kinds of givers. The beggarly giver, they give only after much hesitation and then just the leftovers, the worst of what they have. The underlying belief is there is not enough. So they live in a lack consciousness all the time. The friendly giver, they give what they themselves would use. They share what they have, and with less deliberation, with more open-handedness. The underlying belief is there will be more. There will be more. And then the third one is the kingly giver. The highest kind of givers, they offer the very best of what they have. They share spontaneously and in the moment without needing to deliberate. Giving has become natural to their conduct. Their underlying belief is life is abundant. The universe provides rich abundance. Fabulous. The kingly giver. That's what we all strive for. St. Paul reminds us that we are our best, and when we feel the freedom of giving from a deep sense of abundance, we're at our best. In 2 Corinthians 9, he said, but remember this, he who sows sparingly shall reap also sparingly, and he who sows generously shall reap also generously. So let every man give according to what he has decided in his mind, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loves a cheerful giver, and God is able to provide you with every blessing and abundance, for that you may also always have enough of everything and may provide in abundance for every good work. Love that. Here's a cute story about a little girl that was a kingly giver. A nicely dressed little girl was excitedly looking through the Barbie dolls with her father in a department store just a few days before Christmas, when with a roll of money clamped tightly in her hand. And when she came upon the Barbie she liked, she would turn and ask her father if she had enough money to buy it. He said yes, but she would keep looking and keep going through their ritual of doing, do I have enough? As she was looking, a little boy wandered in across the aisle and was sorting through the Pokemon toys. He was dressed neatly, but the clothes that were obviously rather worn, wearing a jacket that was probably a couple of sizes too small. He had money in his hand, but it looked to be no more than $5 or so at the most. He was with his father as well and kept picking up the Pokemon video toys. And each time he picked one up and looked at his father shook his head, no. The little girl had apparently chosen her Barbie, a beautifully dressed, glamorous doll that would have been the envy of every little girl on the block. Excuse me. However, she had stopped and was watching the interchange between the little boy and his father. Rather dejectedly, the boy had given up on the video games and had chosen what looked like a book of stickers instead. And he and his father then walked toward the aisle of the store. And with that, the little girl put her Barbie back on the shelf, ran over to the Pokemon games. She excitedly picked up one of those laying on the top of the other toys and spoke hurriedly to her father, and then raced toward the checkout counters. Then, much to the little girl's obvious delight, the little boy and his father got in a line of few people behind her. And after the toy was paid for and bagged, the little girl handed it back to the cashier and whispered something in her ear. The cashier smiled and put the package under the counter. And when the little boy makes me cry, I'll probably cry, came to the cashier rang up the purchases and then said, "Congratulations, you are my 100th customer today, so you win a prize." And with that, she handed the little boy the Pokemon game. He could only stare in disbelief. He said, exactly what he wanted. The little girl and her father had been standing at the doorway during all of this, and she had the biggest, prettiest, toothless grin on her face that she could have possibly had. And as they walked out the door, the father asked his daughter why she had done that. "Daddy, didn't Nana and Papa want me to buy something that would make me happy?" He said, "Of course they did, honey." And with that, the little girl giggled and started skipping toward the car. Yeah. She was living inside God's highest truth. She knew that's giving and receiving. That is the gift right there of giving and receiving. And that's the opportunity that each of us have to move beyond ourselves. Move beyond ourselves. And this time of the year especially gives us that opportunity, doesn't it? I just invite you to take a deep breath and close your eyes. Take this in. Marianne Williamson, in her book, Return to Love, wrote this. In every community, there is work to be done. In every nation, there are wounds to be healed. In every heart, there is power to do it. That is living inside God's highest truth. There is a power, the power of love within each of our hearts. That is the greatest power on earth in this whole world. And so today we align with that power. We know that that power and that presence is God, is love, is joy, whatever you want to call it. and it is who we truly are. And so if sometimes we show up being other than that, we just make a decision today to take a breath and just release it. In the moment, we remember who we are. And we make a choice that today and every day, we make a decision to live inside God's highest truth, to be the light, to be the love. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.